Come on, parent noise satisfying.
Absolutely. So, Ted, is your house halfway back to normal?
My house is exactly the same as it was when I went to bed on January 4th.
Through the
Nothing.
chair, you're live on HCAM TV.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. We still have another minute before we'll call the meeting to order. Do we have a quorum? Yes, we have a quorum.
How's it going, Jeff?
Good, Kim. How you doing?
Good. Cut it close there. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Baby fell.
We're unmuted now. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Jim. Good evening. All right. We're missing Matt and Janine.
Janine will be joining us a bit late, I believe. She reached out to me. She said about a half an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Kim. Okay. Let's see. It's 7 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting of the Hopkinton Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access the meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hand or otherwise signaling their intent to speak. This meeting is being recorded by HCAM. Please take care to mute your microphone unless you've been recognized by the chair. We'll now confirm attendance of members and staff. Please respond with present if you are on the call. Ed Harrow.
President.
Ted.
Ted Barker-Hook is present.
Jim Cirillo.
Present.
Melissa Ricos.
Present.
Matt Moyen.
Present.
And this is Jeff Barnes, and Janine should be joining us shortly. So staff, Kim.
Present.
Anna.
Present.
And is Joe with us?
He is, but I just got a message. He can't unmute himself or turn his camera on.
Uh-oh.
I think that's why he's got his hand raised, but I don't know.
Maybe he should try to bump out and bump back in.
Yeah, good suggestion, Kim. I don't see him on the, oh, there he is.
All right, he's going to restart.
Okay. Yeah, Joe, log off and log back in if you would. Okay, so let's jump into the work session items, documents for review. We have the Town of Hopkinton, 9104 Hayden Row at 0 McDermott Lane, Water Resource Area delineation. We have Echo Lake LLC, 0 Chestnut Street, in order of resource area delineation. And we have Legacy Farms, 0 East Main Street, another order of resource area delineation. Kim, is there any additional information that we need to provide at this point, or are we good with those?
I think we should be good. I drafted these as per my standard order of resource area delineation templates, specified the flags and the associated jurisdiction under the Town of Hopkinton bylaw and the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act.
Excellent.
Oh, and I also included the note in 0 Chestnut Street that they isolated depressions were not evaluated for their jurisdictional status as ILSF.
Okay. Sounds good. If I can get a motion to approve the documents for review and to have Kim sign on behalf of the members present, please.
I'll make that
So
motion.
moved. I'll second.
All right, and we'll do the roll call vote. Ed,
Aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. All right. Okay, draft minutes review, November 14th, 2023. Any questions or comments from commission members?
Nope.
Okay, if I can get a motion to approve the minutes of November 14th, 2023,
So moved.
and a second,
Second.
and we'll do the roll call. Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay. Spiegel 24 Downey Street, a request for an extension permit. So, Kim, did you want to give us a little bit of background on this one, please? Kim, you muted, sorry.
Thank you. So this one's a single family home. The applicant needs additional time to complete the plantings, and seasonally, it's not going to work out before the order expires. So I am recommending the extension permit for a period of 1 year to give him the time to complete that.
Okay, great. Questions or comments from the commission? If I can get a motion to approve the 1 year extension permit for 24 Downey Street,
So moved. This is Ed.
and a second,
I'll second.
and the roll call. Ed,
I'm an aye.
Ted,
Ted is an aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay. Thank you. 20th Century Homes, Whisper Way subdivision, a request for a 2 year extension permit. Kim,
Yep.
you would be so kind.
So we received a request for an extension permit right before the holidays. I completed an inspection on the 2nd of January, and I did find a few items that were a little bit concerning. There was some erosion that was observed coming off of the main roadway at the subdivision. Some perimeter erosion controls in need of repair. And then additionally, I noted that there was a wetland replication area that was completed, and we were missing the reports in our files. So I reached out to the Nations. We coordinated on those items. I was able to do a re-inspection, and I can report that additional erosion controls have been installed. Water bars have been installed along the roadway that had an erosion concern to redirect the runoff. And the wetland monitoring reports have subsequently been received by Goddard Consulting. There was one item that's still outstanding. It's a vernal pool that the commission had requested be certified. I guess that the vernal pool investigations are still ongoing, so I would not recommend that. That holds up the extension. So at this point, I would recommend the issuance of the 2 year extension for Whisper Way.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from the commission?
Hi, this is Ed. I'm just curious as the length of time we expect to take for the pool certification.
I personally would say it needs to be done before we issue the COC. I wouldn't issue a COC until then. I think the reason why it's been delayed is because no amphibians have been documented to this point.
Okay, I I think Craig is on the call. Craig Nation, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I'll just roll with it.
All right, thank you. If I can get a motion to approve the 2-year extension for 20th Century Homes, Whisper Way.
So moved.
And a second. All right, and we'll do the roll call. Matt,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
and Jeff is an aye. And sorry, Chris Nation's on the call as well. I'm just noticing that you joined. Chris, did you have any questions or comments on this?
Evening, Mr. Chairman. Nope, all is well. Just here if anyone had a specific question, but I know Craig and Kim worked close to kind of sort out everything. So I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I think we're all set there. So moving along, what time do we have? 7:10. Toll Brothers Chamberlain Wayland subdivision. This is a violation discussion. Kim, did you want to give us some background on this one, please?
Sure, let me just pull it up here. All right. So on January 10th, I observed turbid water discharging from the outlet of the stormwater BMP on lot 4 at Chamberlain Wayland. Let me pull up some photos for you. This was the day where Hopkinton received about 3 to 4 inches of water rainfall. I was out inspecting basically all of the active construction sites in town. Flows were high. There was flows coming off almost every single construction site. However, this was the only one that had the visibly turbid water. So it was a quality issue versus a quantity issue. So you can see the water coming out of the outlet and then overtopping the silt fence and making its way into the wetland. It was visibly turbid about 100 feet into the wetland. You can kind of see the discharge there. So the Conservation Commission also issued notice of violations to Toll Brothers for the development at Edgewood on July 28th, 2023 for a violation which occurred on July 23rd, and on August 24th for violations which occurred on August 3rd, 18th, and 23rd of 2023. You might recall the site is also the subject of an enforcement order issued by the HCC on September 12th, 2023. The applicant has responded to the notice. They responded the next day. They had their consultant, LAC, out at the site to evaluate the wetland and to make some erosion and sedimentation control suggestions. My understanding is that these suggestive BMP measures by LAC were implemented almost completely by Toll Brothers. I think there's one BMP left to install. So the applicant has been responsive, but we do have the history of repeated violations. I do note that the enforcement order that we issued required that the permanent BMPs that have been impacted by fine sediments shall be cleaned as required. So I would question the applicant as to whether that occurred in this particular BMP, which had the discharges. And then the EO also required temporary or permanent stabilization of as much land area as possible at the subject property. So the commission should probably also evaluate as to whether that portion of the enforcement order was followed as well. I know that Mr. Merchant is on the call tonight, so I imagine as well that he is also prepared to speak on this matter.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kim. Mr. Merchant?
Sure. I think Kim summarized that pretty well. As you know, a lot of rain there on January 10th. And all of our stormwater went where it was supposed to. Unfortunately, it was turbid and came through basin and discharged into the wetlands. I think LEC's report was that there was no discernible sediment left within the wetlands. There was some staining on leaves as it made its way through, but nothing to shovel out per se. The suggestions that LEC made, we've implemented all of them, but then maybe the very top one that says install a culvert ASAP. Those materials are arriving on site this week to get installed. As to stabilization of the area upstream of this, we had stabilized lot 2, which is the topmost lot here with straw. Lot 3 is actively under construction. The foundation is being dug and has not been backfilled yet. And then lot 4 had been stabilized, grass had been growing, and we reapplied straw there immediately prior to the snow falling there. So we've hit that to try and stabilize. So we were prepared to submit for COC for the enforcement order really the same week that this storm happened. So unfortunately, that has delayed our application, and I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Merchant. We appreciate the responsiveness of you folks out at the site. I guess, so the basin's been cleaned out. The sediment that's been accumulating, have those been cleaned out? I'm sorry.
Yes, so the basin has a 4-bay here that was cleaned out, and then we had constructed as part of the previous violation, we had constructed temporary sediment basin, and that requires maintenance from time to time, and it has been cleaned out since the enforcement order, certainly, and probably more than once.
Okay, great. Good, thank you. I guess, so again, appreciate you guys being responsive. I guess, is there more diligence on your end, and being proactive so that, these issues are kind of taken care of, up front as opposed to after they happen? But, I think that you guys are regularly doing the inspections out there. But as this site is currently under an enforcement order, there's been a few situations out here where we've had violations, and I know that some of these storms are fairly significant, precipitation events. But the question I have, and I'll open it up to questions from the other commission members, is can we be more proactive in addressing some of these and foreseeing some of these issues that are happening at the site?
Yeah, I can respond. I think we're in a much better place now than we were over the summer. And while this most recent occurrence is not what any of us are looking for, I do think the site is in better shape in general. We have hired LEC to do all of our stormwater inspections, thinking that they do bring us a little bit more of a proactive approach. Again, this situation is not what we're going for, and we hope to get ahead of it. We didn't on that one.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Merchant. And let me open it up to questions, comments from the commission.
I do have a quick question. This predates me, so I don't have a ton of history on this one, but are these basins along Chamberlain and Wayland Road here, are they infiltration basins for post-construction stormwater management that are being used as sedimentation basins during construction?
Through the chair,
Yes, Kim.
I believe they are, Matt. I can just do a little bit of pull the plans up in the background, but my initial feeling is yes.
Okay. The concern I have there is cleaning them out, just taking the sediment off the top doesn't necessarily guarantee that the infiltration rate is being maintained for post-construction use. So I think it would be wise to reevaluate the infiltration rates at each of these locations prior to street acceptance, assuming that's the case here by the town, to ensure that these are going to function for the long term and the construction runoff hasn't prohibited recharge from occurring.
So Matt, we would do that, following construction, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, it's kind of a punch list item.
Yeah, once the site's stable and there's no more sediment being directed to the basins, that would be the time to ensure that they're still functioning as designed.
Yep.
Because a lot of times what happens when they get used during construction term for sediment control, they choke up and they don't recharge like they were originally intended to. And they turn into big soupy messes that really aren't compliant with the standards.
Okay. Yep. Good point. Thank you. Okay. Other questions, comments from the commission or from the public?
Jeff, I have a question or comment or
Yes,
something.
go ahead, Ted.
I'm trying to understand, and maybe Kim, maybe you can help me, maybe Mr. Merchant, you can, where these lots are in the development. And I'm also flipping through the photos. Kim, I'm looking at photo that ends 742 JPEG. If you wanted to pull that up. What I'm trying to see is, Mr. Merchant, when we talked about violations before in the development of this lot, we talked about how much earth was being moved and left uncovered or barely covered, and whether building the lots required that much clearance. And it looks like from the photo I'm looking at, again, Kim, it's the last three numbers are 742 in the packet of photos. It looks like this is another violation next to a radically cleared, a lot of, but it's hard for me to tell, and there's a snow cover, but a lot of exposed dirt. And so I ask again, is it really, really necessary for you guys to build these lots or the lots that are coming up in the recently approved stuff to clear this much land and create such a potential, and in this case, for the third time, the potential becoming a reality, such potential for problems? I mean, again, I can't tell for sure from the photo, but that looks like massive amounts of land cleared of stuff when it wasn't necessary. But maybe grass is growing beyond, between the silt fence and the distance, and it looks kind of snowy, but it looks brown under the snow by that partially completed house. Can we use these events to alter the building schedule and the plan and take some lessons from them?
Yeah,
So,
and
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, Ted, I certainly recall the discussion in the beginning about the amount of area that was going to be open for working, and then when it would be stabilized. And you're right, this is a fantastic example, or a sad example, of the erosion and the effect of that. Now, I would think that it would bolster our efforts in the future to limit the amount of scarred or unstabilized earth. I have a question about this photo to add to it. Is this water flowing down from uphill, which would be the top of the picture? And, is this I know these were big events, rain events. But if this barrier wasn't here, in the future, that water is going to all wash down, right? So
Appears
instead of
that
it just
way,
being collected
Chairman.
right now, that volume of water is going out. So I'm wondering, is the water in what appears to be like a trench now? Is it emanating from the top of the hill, like from parking or driveway or something? You know what I mean? Is it piped? Does this originate from a pipe someplace? Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Kim.
I'm hoping I can shed some light. So I think some of it is sheet flowing off of the lots. The majority is, and then a little bit of it is coming from a foundation drain. You can see like the eroded channel right here, just off site of this photo is a foundation drain. You know, I do think that once the lawn is established on these lots, that curve number for the cover type changes, right? And so we'd have less runoff, more infiltration, slower rate of runoff. I will say that especially during this particular storm, the amount of rainfall that fell and the time that it fell, every site had trouble with ponded quantity of water that I visited on this particular day. This was one of the other areas that I was concerned about, that I did talk to Ted about, Mr. Merchant about on the day that I observed it. But yeah, I can see your concern here.
No, thank you for that. And by the way, it was not only a lot of ponding, but there were a lot of wooded areas that were washed out, and sort of these new paths for the water to go through, right? As you saw that in some of those other ones. That was pretty typical of this last storm too.
And this is part of the reason why I actually don't really like super silt fence, because I feel like it gives a false sense of security at the perimeter, where the runoff should really be controlled before it even hits the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
I think, if I may, Kim, this is exactly what you were describing to me when I was first excited about a super silt fence. This is exactly what you said. So if I might, Jeff, Mr. Merchant, I wonder if you have thoughts on my worries about clearing that much land that Jim echoed. And I don't know how quickly we can fix it here, but we do have, again, a new development that you guys are building over there off Blueberry Lane. Can we change this process?
So a couple of things that this is the first time I'm seeing this picture too, but I think the volume of water that you see there is a lot has to do with the silt fence holding it back. And once the lot is complete, that would sheet flow into the woods without the ponding that you see there. The berm at the near end of the picture does have some grass growing on it. There's a mulch berm right behind it, a layer of silt sock, and then uphill of that, in between the silt sock and the silt fence, I understand does have straw down on it now for stabilization. And then if you can see past the silt fence in that picture, I think I see that lot also has straw on it on the slope coming from the driveway down. So I think we are performing what we said that we were going to at the last meeting, or last time we talked about this. This particular lot, I can't recall exactly why it is graded in the way that it is. I think that there's a big slope up to the page right here, which is why that's all exposed, just needing to catch grade there. But the area that is required to be disturbed in the house that you see in the picture, I think is encapsulated by the silt fence there. And I think that's what's needed. And again, I'm not looking at the grading plan exactly for this lot. I think it's a little bit funky with how this one's graded. But we did try to keep clearing to a minimum. And in fact, on this one and the new one that you're bringing up, we are trying to keep as much tree buffer as we can. It's a selling point for us too, right? To not just clear cut everything, and keep as much existing vegetation as we can. So, it is one of our goals, as a whole. So we're working towards that.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
My only comment is we've had multiple significant rainfall events this year. And the question is that an anomaly or is that the future? And do we need to exercise some more restraint, I guess, for lack of a better word, moving forward on what we find acceptable? I mean, this to me is not acceptable. If this was a one-time event, I wouldn't feel so concerned about it. But back in December, I have a picture of the Mississippi River flowing down Stony Brook. The bridge at the old Hopkinton Springs down in the DCI behind our house was overtopped with water. So the amount of water that we're getting is way outside of historical norms.
Can I say something again? Yes, Ed, that's true. This year has been historically odd, but it hasn't been every single year. But we will probably get more epic events. And I think we just need to continue to really push for limited disturbance, if you will, before it's stabilized. I think one of the arguments presented in regards to this development was that there needed to be access entirely around the building for, I don't remember, but maybe a crane for trusses. And we're just going to have to limit as best we can how much area is wide open and then not stabilized. But I think this is the time that we can start looking at that a little bit heavier, a little bit more.
Jeff, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Kim, I'm glad you found that photo. I was about to point you to that one as well. Is there any chance you can zoom in so we can see? I mean, that just seems absurd to me that much land had to be cleared downslope to the wetlands. I don't see any straw underneath any of it. That just seems utterly and completely reckless and unnecessary. And I think that goes a long way to explaining, with all the rain that the world now brings us, what happened here. So that's extraordinarily frustrating to me.
And through the chair, this is Ed again. Y'all may remember back when we were talking about the project in the Blueberry Lane area, where I was quite unhappy about the amount of clearing that was going on those lots. And I was the lone holdout that said, this is a bad idea. Just bringing that to your attention.
Okay, thank you. So good comments, Mr. Merchant. I think, you folks have ongoing work at this site. You have the Blueberry Lane subdivision that's upcoming. So, I think there are a lot of good points made on the call that we need to be more deliberative about, minimizing the amount of land clearing that's going on around these subdivisions. I think to answer Ed's, first question, this is kind of these types of rain events are unfortunately going to be more common. They're not anomalies anymore. We've had 3 or 4 of them this year alone, where, you could basically take a whitewater raft and, raft down some of these properties. I mean, that's how much water was flowing across them. But all good points. And, I think as a commission and, it's also incumbent on the developers to minimize disturbance so we don't see this, happening on a continuing basis. So, Kim, this is the 3rd violation out at this property, correct? The 3rd or 4th?
Correct.
So I guess I would ask, maybe it makes sense to tabulate the fines. And we can take a look at those at the next meeting and determine next steps as a commission at that point. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Through the chair,
Yes, Kim.
I think Matt is just has something to contribute.
Oh, sorry. Matt, go ahead.
No worries. I wanted to let you finish first. Just real quick as it relates to the limits of disturbance. I understand what Mr. Merchant's saying about trying to minimize that, and I get Ted's point about looking at potentially doing it more. I think one of the things that really needs to be focused on, regardless of the disturbance limits, is temporary and permanent stabilization of those areas that are disturbed. From in my experience, these residential lots, once they've been graded, they don't really get touched again during construction. So they should be temporarily stabilized within 7 to 14 days of that work being completed. And it seems like in these pictures, a lot of the lots remain unstabilized. I think that's an important measure that the contractors should be taking, really, moving forward with this site and any others in town.
Thank you, Matt.
Part of the compliance with their construction general permit as well.
Yep. Okay. So hopefully, Mr. Merchant, you heard the messages from the commissioners, and if we can tabulate the fines, Kim, and then we'll look at those at the next meeting as a commission.
Will do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Merchant.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll move along to the new hearings. 22 Kruger Road. This is a notice of intent, to raise and enlarge a single-family home. So, Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024 at 7, virtually online to hear all persons interested in notice of intent, filed by Terry Anthony to raise and enlarge a single-family house with associated site work. The location is 22 Kruger Road, Assessors Map R8, Block 14, Lot 0. Okay. Do we have the applicant or a representative of the applicant on the call?
Yes, we do. Hi, I'm Susan MacArthur.
Hi, Hey, Sue, how you doing?
Good. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, good to see you. You want to give us a little bit of background on the project, if you would, please?
Yes, I will. Also on the call is Tim McKay, who's the architect for the project. The applicant, I don't believe, is on the call. And just so you know, DEP hasn't issued the file number yet. So,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this is, we filed a notice of intent for the tear down of an existing house at 22 Kruger and the construction of a new house within the existing footprint, only slightly enlarged. So currently, the property contains a 2,900 square foot single family home, bituminous driveway, attached garage, kind of down in the back, a large wooden deck, wooden retaining walls, a fenced in garden, and wooden stairs leading down to the back slope to the DCR property in the back. Topography ranges from 334 near the roadway, 334 feet down to 321 feet at the existing house. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Down. Did I say that? I think at the existing house. And the conservation land down in the back is approximately at elevation 300, something like that. So it drops quite a bit steeply down in the back there. There is a forested wetland located on the DCR property in the back, BVW, and that was delineated. It kind of goes underneath the wooden steps. It's kind of like a ramp. And so it's located in the back there. And then across the street is an intermittent stream. Kim, if you want to pan up a little bit. Yeah, an intermittent stream that is on private property on that side there. So the house is obviously within both buffer zones and the 50-foot portions of the 50-foot buffer zone. And so the proposed project will reuse the existing foundation of the house that's there now, and will also construct a new garage and new raised back deck and stairs, new retaining walls, and new front porch. The driveway will be located directly in front of the new house, or new garage, I should say, right where the hand is there. And so the existing driveway portions are going to be removed. That portion there, that's approximately 1,139 square feet of asphalt will be pulled up, and that area will be loam and seeded. In addition, some other mitigation, well, prior to any ground disturbance, we'll install an erosion control barrier, compost filter tubes or something like that. And we're proposing 2 new dry wells off of, one will be located underneath the back deck, and one under the deck out front, the new porch out front, right there where the hand is. And, yeah, and then one in the back there. And then, so the project is, the architect has tried to design the project to minimize any impacts to any native vegetation, but unfortunately, approximately 4 oak trees, 8 to 12-inch diameter, are proposed to be removed out by the front, where the new driveway is. So there's like little red squares there, if you can see. No, down the hand, move the hand down right there. Yeah, so those 4 trees need to come out due to the new driveway being installed. It's kind of like bermed up from the roadway. It's like a wooded berm before it gets to grass. So portions of the driveway, the new driveway, will be over grass, and some will be, yeah, you can kind of see that's the big deck. So to the left on that photo is the bermed up area, and the road is like just down below it. Any other? Yeah, so then that's the driveway covered in snow in the back.
Yeah.
There's a few photos in the NOI.
Okay.
But so anyway, as a to mitigate for the removal of the 4 oak trees, we're proposing to plant 2 flowering dogwoods where the pavement will be taken up over off to the east side. Yeah, right there. And then 2 oak trees to the west, where the hand is right there, west of the new house. And then a few shrubs, those 4 green circles out in front of the new house. Yep, right there. Those are proposed azalea, hydrangea, and rhododendron shrubs. And, I think that's about it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. Joe, did you want to kind of run through your comments, please?
Sure. I was out on the site on January 18th. Look at the delineation and the just the site characteristics in general. A couple comments on the delineation. The flag numbers for the flags that are shown are reversed in order based on what's in the field. So I'd recommend that be revised to accurately indicate the flags that are in the field. Also, flag 102 was missing in the field, but based on the adjacent flags, their relative location appears accurate. I also note that the BVW delineation flags on the site plan, it's noted that they were not survey located, but located by measurement. I think maybe some additional information on how they were measured and how they were located, just to make sure that their actual location is accurate on the plan. I think maybe is this a revised plan? I think there are some notes on this plan that I don't have on mine that I haven't seen.
This is the revised stamped plan. Originally, it wasn't stamped. And just so you know, it was field measure, with a 100-foot tape measure. And when you say reverse, are you talking about the stream or the BVW in the back?
The BVW on the back.
Okay.
So 104 is where 100 is, and then they're labeled in that direction.
Okay.
Regarding the wood stairs and the ramp, I don't know, the history of that, or if that was a permitted activity. They do go through the wetland down there. There's some Oriana Bittersweet and some common privet on the developed portion of the site. That's not extensive, but there's some present. Would recommend just some comment, at least as far as how those will be addressed during construction. Also, the project narrative notes that there are 4 oak trees proposed to be removed for the construction of the driveway. When I was out there, there were at least 6 oaks and hickories marked with a red X. So just looking for confirmation on whether that's an accurate number of trees that are proposed to be removed. Those are all in that general area where the red X ones are shown on the plan.
The contractor had marked where he thought maybe the trees were going, but we determined only 4 need to come out.
Yep. The stream across the street is delineated, but no delineation flags are shown. I don't know if that's because it was an off-site. I don't know how that stream was located on the plan. It looks like it's generally pretty accurate, just kind of pacing out where it's shown and to the edge of the road, but maybe a comment on how that was located and possibly showing the actual delineation flags. Also, without the actual delineation being shown, I don't know how certain the commission can be of verifying the extent of the buffer zones on the site without those being located.
May I respond to him?
Yes, go ahead, Sue.
Okay. So the stream was already on the plan before I even came on board. And so basically I went out there just to confirm that it was in the location that it was shown on the plan. I did throw some flags up that is private property. So technically, it was more of just a visual, if you will. But yeah. But the flag, it appeared accurate to me. I took a few measurements up to the road, and it kind of matched what was on the plan originally. So,
yeah, and I think pacing it off in general, it looked pretty close. But again, if we're looking for the amount of work that might occur within the 50-foot buffer, that might want to be nailed down a little bit more accurately. I also noted in the project narrative that it states proposed work will occur in areas previously covered by existing house and lawn, which is true except for the area on the berm. Just want to clarify that where the driveway goes across the berm there, that is currently a wooded area. Obviously, if they're going to be taking out trees. Question on the correct address for the site. It's described as 22 Kruger Road. The assessor's maps available online for the Hopkinton Assessor's Office show it as 2 lots, 22 and 24, with some of the proposed work would be on the 24 parcel. And just want to verify if the lots are being combined or if there are actually 2 lots involved. And if there are 2 lots, if there are 2 lots involved, whether we would need the owner's signature for the other lot and also verify that the correct abutters have been notified.
May I respond?
You may.
Okay. There are 2 lots now. They are being combined. The property owner / applicant at 22 Kruger had purchased the other lot, and it's just going to be a combined 1 lot combined. And I believe the new address will be 24 Kruger Road, but for the purposes of this filing, we called it 22.
All right, so I think my follow-up on that would be that I believe the assessor or the abutters list was done for 22, which is only going to be the rightmost lot on the plan. So probably want to verify that all the correct abutters have been notified, including those abutters to the leftmost lot on the plan, because there is some minor amount of work proposed on that part of the lot also.
Okay, so Sue, if you can just verify that, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Couple more
okay,
things.
Joe, was that it? Sorry.
A couple more, sorry.
Yeah.
I also noted that the 100-year FEMA 100-year flood zone is shown on the map, but I guess maybe there is a buffer zone from that on the revised plan. Is that correct? Under the bylaw, there's a 100-foot buffer zone from the flood zone. No, those are the buffer zones from the wetland. Sorry. So based on topography, it looks like the flood zone, it goes to the toe of the slope, likely at the back of the property, which would be somewhat up gradient of the wetland delineation. So I think there's bordering land subject to flooding, up gradient of the wetland delineation, which would extend, the 100-foot buffer zone from the bordering land subject to flooding, and just indicating that might want to revise the plan to show that.
Wait, sorry, Joe, can you just say that again, please?
There's an A zone of FEMA flood zone A associated with the reservoir that appears to likely extend beyond the BVW boundary. So you'd have bordering land subject to flooding.
So where is that on the plan?
It would be, up in there where the hand is, right in there.
I think it's outside of that, Joe. I think that's why it isn't shown. I think it is a little bit closer to the pond.
If that's the case, maybe some clarification on that is fine. But I was just looking at the topo out there. It's pretty flat, and I thought that it would probably come. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe maybe the zone A follows my wetland flags, but I don't think
it's probably not far off. But right in the spot where it's closest to the property, the flags are a little bit below the toe slope. I think they're accurate, but they're a little bit below the toe slope, and I think the flood line might go up a little bit further. Again, I don't know if the commission may want to see that line either transposed or a calculation done. I don't think it's going to impact. It's already in the buffer zone for the BVW, but it may push the buffer zone a little bit further onto the site from bordering land subject to flooding.
Okay. Can you go back to the plan, Kim? Thank you. Okay.
There were dry wells proposed. Just thought that some calculations regarding the sizing of the dry wells be provided. And then just some relatively minor notes and some items in the BBW determination forms that don't really affect the determination of wetland or upland. And also a note on whether or not, although the color plan was provided, it doesn't meet the requirements of the bylaw colors. I don't know if the commission is too worried about that or not, but I just thought I'd point that out. And as Susan mentioned, there's no file number, DEP file number yet for the project.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Kim, on the stream that's on the abutting property. So we have the 50-foot and 100-foot approximate offset from the bank of the stream. So it looks like most of the construction is previously disturbed area. Is that Sue? Can you confirm that?
Well, with the exception of a little bit of the new driveway, which is within the 50, let's see, so the intermittent stream has a 50-foot offset. That green, right where the hand is, that green dashed line. So the new driveway, the beginning section of it will fall within the 50-foot.
What is that now? Is that lawn area? Right,
it's there? The wooded berm. It's the wooded berm.
Oh, it's the wooded berm. Okay.
Yeah. So that'll have to be cut down and graded and then paved.
Okay. Okay. Let me open up to questions, comments from other commission members.
Through the chair, this is Ed.
Yes, Ed.
I have a pretty simple question. There are 6 trees that got marked, but 2 of them aren't supposed to get cut down. How are we going to unmark those trees to ensure that some kind of an error doesn't happen when someone comes along and sees 6 X's and chop, 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 chop?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I don't know, maybe Tim, are you on the call if you want to take a shot at answering that?
Sure, I am, and thank you very much for having us tonight. The 2 other trees that were in question were the 10 and 12 inch oak trees directly to the planned left of the 4 that were proposed to be removed that are sitting on the bank. We'll flag those when we do start construction and make sure that the contractor is well aware of what trees are proposed to be removed. It is the owner's wish that every tree possible remain. They want to ensure privacy on the site, and they obviously want to protect the mature growth that exists on that site.
Okay, thank you.
Ed, if you're done, Jeff, I've got a question and a comment.
Yep.
So my question is, it's not clear to me where the new driveway is going. I see the note, but I don't see the outline of a driveway. Am I missing something here?
It's in pink. I know some of the arrows are in pink as well, so it's a little confusing, but
does it show up on anybody's plan? Tim,
yeah, right there where right there.
Oh, that really wide space to the so-called proposed addition. Okay.
It basically goes straight into the garage,
yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So, all right. Well, speaking of the garage, there are existing wood retaining walls. Some of them are being removed for this addition. A part of it's being removed for the addition, correct? Thank you for the painting, whoever's doing that. Tim. So the wood retaining walls, on plans, I think if something is existing and it's going to remain, then there should be a note on the title, wood retaining wall or existing wood retaining wall to remain if you want. But in this case, which part of the wall is going to be removed? Only the part where the addition is, correct?
I believe, and Tim can pipe in, but I believe that all of the wooden retaining walls, they're old, like railroad
Yeah,
ties.
railroad ties, yeah.
Yeah, and they're kind of rotting. Some are
Well, is
rotting.
it being removed? Are those walls being removed? And if
No, so it's just being replaced. Just being replaced.
Okay, then there should be a note that says to be removed and replaced. Because right now it just looks like, I don't know, they're there. They're not going anywhere.
Okay.
So there should be a note.
I'd also, if I may address that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd also like to note that the proposed foundation wall for the garage will handle the majority of the retaining. So where the wall exists, running, parallel to the front of the garage, that wall will obviously no longer be there. We looked at removing entirely the wooden retaining wall that juts out at an angle. However, as you could probably note from this plan, we were concerned that taking it out entirely would disturb the vegetation above, and that's certainly not anything we're interested in. So as much as we can, we will retain the profile of that wall and replace any, I'll call it compromised structure along that wall as much as possible. Again, the intent here is to preserve as much of the natural vegetation on site as we possibly can.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate that, but there needs to be notes on here that say what you're going to do with the existing walls and reconstruct it with a masonry wall or something else. So right now, there's nothing there, including the garage area in the back.
I think until we get out, it's going to be difficult to really understand what the scope is. Until, again, we could, I think the note is, existing to remain to the greatest extent possible, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I'll open it up. I'm just very uncomfortable with not specifying what's happening with that.
If there are changes to the plan, we'd be certainly happy to come back before the commission. But until we get out there and really start evaluating the structure of these retaining walls. And
okay,
by that, sorry, go ahead.
So then can we, commissioners, agree that any plan to do anything with these walls will come before us as Jeff and Kim, an amended NOI? I mean, that could be a fairly significant item, and we should review that before they undertake any construction. So how do we do that procedurally?
Just, can I make a suggestion? What if we just put the note on what we think is going to happen, and then if it changes, then
I think we should review it though. Yeah.
No. That's what I mean. Like, so if we're saying it's going to remain, then just say to be protected and remain. And then if during construction it's decided that it needs to come out and be reconstructed, then they have to come back because that's a significant change.
That's what I was
make a decision on what the plan's going to show. Not whenever we say, keep vegetation or keep as many trees as possible, they all just end up coming down if we leave it.
Yeah. Well, that's as many as possible.
I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I just want to know how they're going to do it, and we need an opportunity to review that, especially when it comes to whatever disturbance is going to be to accomplish that.
Yeah. So maybe if we just, if we're hoping it stays, just put a note that it's to be retained, and then if that changes, then come back with the new wall design.
That's a good suggestion, Melissa. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. All right.
Jeff,
So,
I've got a thing or two, if I may.
yes, go ahead, Ted.
I'm just looking at the driveways, the new and the one to be removed. And I don't know the best way to organize my thoughts, but I'll try to keep it quick. I do see that 1,100 plus square feet of driveway is going to be removed versus 675 added. But I think it's worth noting that just eyeballing it looks like half of the removed is outside of protected buffer zones. I'd be interested in knowing how much is being removed inside of buffer zones versus how much is being added. Does that make sense, what I'm pointing out? And if I'm reading the plan correctly, it's a very busy plan. I think it's great to remove a driveway, but if it's outside of protected areas, that's less interesting to me if we're going to add a whole new driveway completely inside of protected areas. So I'd love to see that math broken down a little bit more.
Okay.
And then along the same lines, I'm only eyeballing again. It looks like the driveway is wider than the road, the proposed new one, the one that's bright red now. But before the bright red got there, I'm just looking at it. It looks like it's wider than the road. And if some of it is going to be inside of a 50-foot buffer, I especially wonder if it really needs to be a driveway wider than a road. So those are my two thoughts as I look. The last one had to do with the dogwoods. I seem to remember conversations where we were worried a little bit about dogwoods having staying power. I think dogwoods, flowering dogwoods are beautiful. But maybe Joe or Kim, you can refresh my mind. I like that idea, except I think they don't have a high success rate. I think they have a high disease rate, don't they? Anyway, those are my thoughts. I don't even know if I need answers for all that right now, but that's what I'd like for next meeting.
Okay, thanks, Ted.
Through the chair, while we're talking about the trees, the 4 oaks are coming down. We're getting 4 trees replaced, but only 2 of them are in the buffer zone. So it's only a 1-for-1 replacement, but only 0.5 for 1 replacement within the buffer zone. I don't know if we could get more mitigation for trees, more trees.
Yeah, that's a good point, Janine.
The trees, the ones that are where the driveway is being removed, we can move them down if that, it to be in the buffer zone. I mean, we just put them there because we knew we were pulling up pavement, not necessarily thinking buffer zone versus not, thinking more about adding or taking out impervious, and recharging was more our thought, in general.
Yeah, and don't we usually look for like 2-for-1? No?
Correct. Yeah, so they should be in the buffer zone, just, for mitigation. And we do a 2-to-1.
Okay.
Typically. So, okay. And then, I guess, Kim, we got to move along here. We've been spending a lot of time on this. But the stream that's on the abutting property, I mean, I think to me, if it was taped off, and it's looks, in Joe's opinion and Sue's opinion, it looks fairly accurate. I think I'm comfortable with that. We just have to say that, it wasn't, we just have to qualify that, it wasn't, it's an estimate, right? The buffer zone locations are estimates, based on the estimate of the stream on the abutting property, location of the bank of the stream. So I just wanted to make sure, Kim, that you're good with that.
I'm good. And I have it as a note that I can include that in the findings of fact. I mean, typically we don't confirm resource areas that are off-site regardless, but I can certainly note that the buffer zones are approximate.
Okay, great. So I think that answers that question. So Sue, there's, some T's that need to be crossed and I's that need to be dotted here. There's on your end.
Yeah.
So I think we need to continue this out. But before we move on, I just wanted to ask about the bridge on the state property there. the wood stairs and the ramp through the kind of the resource area is, was that put there by the owner?
No, they told us it was there long before they bought the property. It's
Okay.
been historically there. So, I mean, they're not in the best of shape, but they're, they're functional.
Yeah.
It might be better to hear that they're in real good shape, because at some point in the future, the next owner may come and feel like rebuilding it, even though it's on DCR property.
Well, I suspect this owner is going to be there a long time, given the fact that they're building a new house for themselves. So,
oh, there you go. Okay.
well, I mean, that's my guess, but
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make that, bring that. It's on DCR property. Okay. I'll have to think about that. Maybe we can talk about it. But,
I mean,
okay.
just so you know, I have seen and helped with permitting, I should say, for other properties on like Lake Cochituate and Natick, where they've got permission from DCR to put their stairs and like little boardwalk thing on DCR property going down to the lake. So, I don't know that this is that unusual, but.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, we got to move on because we have an executive session coming up.
Chair, if I can get 2 words in.
Yep. Go ahead, Ed.
Living adjacent to DCR property, I can confirm that there is more than one occasion where such things exist.
Yep. We're aware of that, but thank you.
Testify. I can confirm that.
Yes. Okay, Sue. So we'll continue. If I can get a motion to continue the hearing out is February 6th going to be sufficient for you to address the items that we've discussed?
Through the chair.
Do you want to get any public comment?
Oh yeah. Yep. Sorry. Anna, is that what you're going to ask?
Yep.
Okay. Is there any comments from the public at this point?
Hi, this is Heather Bliss. We're in a butter to the property. This is the first hearing or notification we had about the building and the development. So we do have some questions just in terms of the tree removal noted in this plan versus what we're seeing in terms of the trees that are marked out there. There's definitely dozens of trees with red marks on them and some very close to our property. So I assume that was part of an initial test and not for removal, but certainly close to our property line. We did see some red paint on trees, and it seemed to be dozens that were marked. Am I wrong in how many are marked with red paint in that area?
May I address that comment?
You may. Yes, go ahead, Mr. McKay.
So as part of our survey to identify the trees that were on site, we did mark them just to note that we had recorded them. As I noted earlier, we have zero intent of taking down any tree other than what is absolutely necessary to put in the driveway. We're hoping to reuse the existing driveway. However, part of it's on an abutter property. And if you're, I don't know how familiar you are with that property, but that driveway has failed. It's been undermined by erosion and is otherwise not able to be used. So just to answer your question, it's certainly not the intent to take down any trees other than what is noted here on the plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the 4 trees, correct, Mr. McKay?
Correct.
Okay. Yep.
And that was going to be my other question. Why does the driveway have to be reconstructed in such a way where it is obviously, moving from one side of the house to the other? I just wasn't clear on why that had to be.
May I address that comment as well?
You may. Yep.
So the owner had hoped to put in a garage addition on. However, with existing zoning bylaws the way they are, a garage on the other side of the house would be problematic. So that's primarily why they purchased the abutting lot, to make sure they can conform with the setbacks on the side. Obviously, the front is pre-existing non-conforming, and they are not exacerbating that non-conformance. But in order to put a driveway or a garage over there, they need access to it. They cannot drive across the septic system, which is noted on the front lawn. So this is the only access that they'd be provided there. It's certainly, again, it's the intent to limit the disturbance to the greatest extent possible.
Okay, two final questions. So is the septic moving, or is the septic staying where it is, or enlarging given the enlarged structure?
The septic is staying where it is. The bedroom count is not changing, and the ownership is not changing. So there's no need for a revised septic system.
Okay. And then what is the total square footage of the proposed new complex or house?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but Susan, did we note that in the NOI? I can't remember.
The new driveway is 675 square feet. And
no, the square footage of the house.
Oh, of the house? Well, it's in the same footprint, and the existing house is 2,900 square feet.
And so that proposed addition is not included in the square footage of the new?
So it's a 25 foot by 25 foot garage on the ground level with an open bonus room above. So the square footage will remain relatively consistent with the addition of what I just noted.
Okay. And just as a first-time person participating in these conservation meetings, is there any impact to our property running downhill from that? That questions I should be asking that I'm not asking about that adjustment there.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to answer that as well?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. McKay.
I mean, I'll certainly defer. I'm an architect. I'll defer to any number of the environmental scientists that are on this call. But I believe that, based on the comments from the peer reviewer and from the commission, the majority of the concern is both, Plan North and Plan South, and not necessarily Plan East or Plan West. But certainly, we'll do what is absolutely necessary to make sure that runoff is eliminated during the construction process.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it looks
On
like.
this note, Jeff, do you just want to confirm that it's under an acre of disturbance? That's our stormwater permitting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's under an acre.
Yeah.
Correct, Sue?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And it looks like, the stormwater will sheet off to the, looking for the orientation on this plan here, but to the towards the top, to that wetland complex, and then towards the bottom, towards the stream. It doesn't look like, I can't really see the grading. There is grading that heads down towards the Bliss property, but it's heavily wooded, so I don't anticipate any runoff issues there. But Melissa, Matt, did you have anything else to add?
No concerns from my perspective, and it does look like they're proposing a dry well for rooftop runoff.
Right. Yep. Good point. Okay. So, Mrs. Bliss, did you have any other questions?
Not right now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any
If
other
I may add
questions?
one other
Yes.
thing, sorry, Mr. Chair. Ms. Bliss, next time I'm on site, I'll be happy to drop a card in your mailbox and meet you on site with the contractor at any time if you'd like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McKay. So if I can get a motion to continue this to February 6th.
So moved.
And a second. And we'll do the roll call. Ed?
Aye.
Ted?
Ted is an aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Janine?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, great. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Okay, new hearings. Goal 56 Downey Street. This is an amended notice of intent for a dock. It's being continued to the 2nd, but I have to read it in, and we'll continue it until the 6th. Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. virtually online to hear all persons interested in an amended notice of intent filed by Rakesh Goel to construct a dock. Location is 56 Downey Street, assessors map L37, block 1, lot 0. And we'll continue this out to the 6th. We don't need to vote on that, correct? Kim, Anna?
Nope.
Okay, great. All right. Continued hearings.
Through the chair,
Yes.
we did have a last minute continuance of 12 North Mill Street.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And when was that continued to? Kim?
February 6th.
Okay. All right. So moving along, Hopkinton Historical Society, 168 Hayden Row. This is a continuation of a notice of intent. And we have
Dan McIntyre here, representing Historical Society.
Good evening, Mr. McIntyre.
Good evening.
All right. So you want to give us an update as to where we're at, please?
Sure. At our last meeting, there were a couple of questions and a couple of notes we wanted added to the plan. So we did that with respect to the contractor obtaining a road opening permit as required by the DPW. And we also put a note on the plans to keep the height of the stockpiles manageable so they don't overtop the silt fence. In addition, we provided Kim with a schedule of the work that was requested. And we developed an invasive species management plan for that buffer zone area. This is both for the contractor to kind of control how he initially digs out those invasives, and then also for the society members who have agreed to try to manage that as time goes on. If they see the invasives start to sprout back up, they have a plan to control it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We are still waiting for a DEP file number. I can't shake that loose out of the central district, so I'm not sure what's happening down there.
Okay. All right. So I think that addresses the outstanding items that we had as a commission. Joe, Kim, did you have any additional comments?
Chair?
Yes, Kim.
So Jeff, this was one that I had reviewed. So
Correct. Right. Yep. Sorry.
Yep. So I reviewed the additional materials provided by Dan, and I didn't have any additional comments. I felt that all of the materials addressed the concerns that I had in my initial comment letter.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kim. All right. So questions, comments from commission members? Questions or comments from the public? Okay, so unfortunately, we'll have to continue this out until we get the DEP file number, Mr. McIntyre.
Understood.
So if I get a motion to continue to February 6th.
So moved.
So Ted.
I'll second this. Unless someone did.
Okay, and we'll do the roll call. Ted.
Ted is an aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Janine.
Aye.
Melissa.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So Hopkinton Stone and Garden is continued until February 6th. So that takes us to work session items. And Kelly, 9 Montana Road, we have an informal discussion. So do we have someone on the call? We're 9 Montana.
Yes, I am here as well as Ed Kelly, the owner.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Marquardt.
Evening.
And we got to kind of move along here. So you want to give us a quick overview of
Sure.
what you?
The commission may remember the review of this plan. It's file number 188-1790. The order was issued back in August of 2022. It has installed erosion control barriers, has installed PIB, and is looking for a spring start on construction. And what has come up in his discussions with the designer of the home is an additional driveway from Maple Street Extension would be amenity that would be helpful or useful to this property. So we have done some preliminary investigation, talked to DPW, talked to the building inspector, and it is entirely possible to build this driveway, to permit this driveway. So we are here after much discussion and some back and forth with Kim and Anna to just have an informal discussion and feel out the board regarding a driveway at this location. I've highlighted it here in red, a short driveway, 12-foot wide, in line with the Hopkinton Fire Department guidelines for access driveways, shown at this location. You may recall the site is a meadow, is a grassed area. The location chosen to access the pavement at Maple Street Extension fits nicely between a couple of large trees, so no tree clearing. Just some lawn or some grassed meadow that would be replaced with a driveway.
Okay. So, yes, I think it can be permitted. And I think the correct, procedurally, I think we would need, or we'd be looking to get an amended notice of intent to facilitate that. But Kim is the expert, so let me open it up to her for her opinion on this.
Thanks, Jeff. In general, the way that I have advised applicants in matters such as these is that an increase in impacts or moving of an impact closer to the resource area generally requires an amended order, whereas reducing the scope of an impact or moving alterations further from the resource area generally can be approved as a minor plan change. So in this instance, because we're adding additional impervious area and it's within the buffer zone, my recommendation would be amended order.
Yep, I think that makes sense to me, but I will open it up to other commission members for their comments to the applicant. And again, this is an informal discussion.
Hi, this is Ed. I didn't
Yes,
catch,
Ed.
is this in addition to the planned proposed driveway or in place thereof?
We'd be in addition to the second drive.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commission members? Okay, Mr. Markonant, I think hopefully that clarified your questions, and you have an understanding of what you need to do going forward.
Yes, we do. I appreciate the feedback.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Okay, so the draft annual report, Kim. That looked really good to me. I appreciate you putting that together. I don't know if folks got a chance to look at it. We do have an impending deadline to get that into the town within the next few days. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, if you can do that, in the next day or so, and if you have any comments, get those to Kim ASAP. The one comment I did have, Kim, was I think you got your new certification, correct? Just recently.
I did get a new certification recently.
So can we add that in?
Sure.
I think that is, you worked hard to get that. So I think, I'd like to see that in the report.
Thank you.
And we didn't have anyone who in the past year completed the MAC certification, correct? I think Janine was the last one.
Yeah, was I this past year or was I the year before?
Year before.
I was? It's been that long?
I was going to say, we had it in the 2022 because you and I did it the same year.
Yeah, I think you got it right before we put the report out, as I recall. But other than that, if you can just add that in, Kim, you should be recognized for that for sure. And then if anyone has any comments, if you can get those to Kim, as we said, in the next day or so, that would be great.
I think the deadline's Friday.
All right.
Look at this, and I just want to say, look at this spiffy photo of Anna that I got out completely organically.
I was going to say, I got a photo last year. It should have been you this year.
I was hoping we were going to get a picture of you two guys with your official wetland Hopkinton
our new
AOH hats on. The Amphibians of Hopkinton hat. No, it's not going to happen. Or what?
Maybe next year.
All right. We'll have to save that one. Everyone's probably wondering what we're talking about. I guess you'll have to wait till next year. Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Kim, for putting that together. And so at this point, we are going to meet in executive session as a commission. So I'm going to make a motion to do that in a second here. Once we're in executive session, it will just be the commission and the town's attorneys that will be on the call. So we're going to have to ask HOP, HCAM to drop off, any members of the participant to drop off from the call. And the meeting will end at the conclusion of the executive session. So I move that the commission enter into. Yep.
Sorry, point of order. Would you like myself and Anna to join you, and
yes.
Would you like Joe to join us? Or I was kind of thinking Joe might. I'm not sure that Joe.
Yeah, I don't think Joe. We can. Yeah. You probably don't need to be on it. So you can drop off. Yes, so Anna and Kim as staff of the commission will be on the call as well. And I just got to chat Sammy the Salamander costume. Yeah, maybe Sammy the Salamander will have to be that was Craig.
Mascot.
Yeah, commission mascot. Maybe he can be in the annual report.
I was going to
anyways.
say, Sammy got new friends, so nobody's seen them.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff?
Yes.
Do we need to, Joe won't be in the executive session, which would suggest that there can't be any conversations with Joe outside of any matter in executive session. Do we need to somehow allow Kim to talk to Joe if there's anything, from our executive session that needs technical input? So do we need to, I don't know, authorize Kim to talk with him if she needs to, or we'll wait until that happens?
Through the chair?
Yes, go ahead, Kim.
Jim, in this particular instance, I think just because of the nature of the litigation, I think our technical assistance is really going to be town council. And if we do, related to the project at hand, if we do need additional assistance, we also have Weston and Sampson on board because it's more of a stormwater situation. So
we would just bring them in. Read them in, as we used to say. Yep. All right, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to enter executive session. So I move that the Hopkinton Conservation Commission meets in executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to a lawsuit filed against the commission by the Trails LLC. Said case pending in the Middlesex County Superior Court, case number 2381 CV 03155, where discussion of the same in open session will have a detrimental effect on the town's litigation position. And we need to do a roll call, excuse me, to affirm with each member that we're going into executive session. So the roll call vote, Melissa?
Here. Aye.
Janine?
Here.
Ted?
Aye. Ted is an aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so we're in executive session. Let me just go through the, before we get started. So HCAM, can you drop off